Lovely to have you with us. Can you just firstly spell out for us how big is the investment gap that our cities all across the continent face?
Well, what I can tell you is, we are telling in trillions here. What I can tell you is a few things about what we do at EIB to try to contribute to filling this gap. And we are, over the last 5 years, we have contributed 91 billion euros in investment in urban and cities. That means around 80 to 20 billion a year. So this is one of the major activities of the EIB. And it fits actually something that we try to do, which is to have an integrated approach. Two-thirds of that is related to climate and environment projects. And you know that the EIB is transforming itself to become the climate bank of the European Union. And that is clearly a big part of what we have done to come to 60% of our investments that are now targeting green investments and sustainable investments. What we also do is to enhance resilience. Of course, it goes with adaptation that has to be developed in cities, but also, for example, cyber threats that we try to integrate as well as digital in our investments. Now, in terms of sectors, two-thirds is on 3 sectors: sustainable mobility, water, and health and education. Of course, housing and affordable housing is also part of that. And I think this is what we try to do, to have an integrated approach. That's what is important when you deal with urban city issues. And we try to do that both inside Europe and also outside Europe.
And how are you measuring the return on investments with these projects?
Well, we do that as we do for most of the projects that we have, which is we are a public bank. So we do not only measure, of course, we are a bank. So we expect that the loans that we do will be reimbursed by our partners and our clients. But we measure profitability and rentability not only from a financial and economic standpoint, but also from an environmental and social standpoint. And that's what the combination of that is what our mandate is. So we cannot concentrate only on financial issues. We have also to assess, and that's a big part of our due diligence, what is the environmental impact and the social part of the project that we finance.
And I don't know if you were listening in, but we just had a panel discussion and we touched on the fact that cities are facing serious challenges here when it comes to accessing funding from the private sector. What do you think is missing here, and what specific concrete technical support can the EIB offer?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's a good point, because what we see is there is something that is missing that is in the work of project preparation. What we have is instruments to help cities put in place this comprehensive approach that is needed. And for that, let me just give you an example inside and an example outside of Europe. Inside Europe, we have a program that is called ELENA, that is on energy efficiency. And this is a program that we implement on behalf of the European Commission, and that helps cities or even agglomerations to put in place, to prepare the right projects for energy efficiency that they would not have without us. For example, in a small city, in an agglomeration, how do you put in place the best project that makes the most sense? Is it with a hospital in terms of energy efficiency? Is it with a hospital? Is it with a housing for seniors? Is it on a public building? This is what we do. I've just visited 2 weeks ago in southwestern France, in the Basque country, very, very interesting projects that are in this big city of Bayonne. And that's exactly what we try to do. Outside of Europe, we have a big program with the World Bank, with the support of the German and the Luxembourg governments, that is called the City Gap Fund. And that is extremely interested also in terms of trying to put projects that to prepare as early as possible, so that we try to do the most impactful projects. And that works very well. We have actually 200, we have reached the 200 cities that have been supported by this project. And it is out of 450 requests from cities. And it is all over the world, in Africa, but also in Latin America. So very interesting project. And the second thing that I think can help is what we can do to try to ourselves, as a bank, to be more agile. And that is in the direction of using more framework loans. Framework loans allow to have more agility when you have to implement it step by step or sector by sector. An example that I have in mind is what we have done in Florence, where there were many issues related to urban policies. A big part was mobility, but a big part was also water, drainage, this kind of projects. I think the combination of that can help bring private sector investors, plus the thing that was discussed also, which is on data. That has also an impact. Data can help bring private sector.
Well, data, of course, our ears popped when you said that word, because we're here celebrating the CDP Awards, so it's all about data. But how exactly does the EIB plan to incorporate data disclosed by cities to further support its urban investment strategy, Ambroise?
Well, actually, we use this data to our own due diligence. I mean, we are very, very pleased with what CDP is developing in terms of data. We think it is very good in terms of better understanding the challenges in cities, in helping us in due diligence. For example, when we do a rapid bus in Africa, it is quite helpful to have the best possible data, also anticipation of what's going to be the demand forecast, so that you do less mistakes, basically. And also, I think it's important in terms of accountability, transparency. That's also what brings investors, because especially for green investors, they need this kind of data. And the word that I would just add is, in terms of data, what you do in CDP is really, really good. But it's not only on urban data. We are making progress in many things in terms of allowing people to have more data. One example that we have worked on with other multilateral development banks and with a number of bilateral development banks is a project called GEMS, that is basically a credit risk database. And for the first time yesterday, we have released data that have been collected from all different sources. And actually, you see first the interest of doing this. This is a project that was requested by the G20 member states. But also, you see the interest in terms of forcing institutions to do a better job in having data, in collecting data, and in publishing data. So well done, CDP.
So well done, CDP. Well, a round of applause for CDP and to everyone in our audience.